Hey, what's going on, guys? CJ here. Just kind of wanted to put this out here before the start of this episode. I got a chance to interview the cast of the Netflix Lost in Space series. With the exception of Taylor Russell, I believe she had a scheduling conflict, so she wasn't going to be able to make the media rollout for this series. But I did get a chance to talk to the rest of the cast. They were basically 3 separate interview blocks, and I combined it all in one to kind of help you out. So basically, the first up in the first set of interviews is me talking to Maxwell Jenkins, who plays Will Robinson, Parker Posey, who plays Dr. Smith, and Zach Estrin, who is the executive producer of the show. The second part of this interview, I talked to Mina Sundwall, who plays Penny Robinson, Ignacio Sherriccho, who plays Don West, and Burke Sharpless, who is also the executive producer and writer of the series. And in the last part, the third part, I talked to Molly Parker, who plays Maureen Robinson, Toby Stevens, who plays John Robinson, and Matt Sazama, who is also executive producer and writer of the series. I hope you guys enjoy this interview, and definitely check out Lost in Space season 1 and 2 on Netflix. There is some slight spoilers in the interviews and stuff, but whether you see it or not, it's definitely very insightful. So check it out, and peace. Was there kind of sort of a Bible that you had to kind of go by, you and the writers had to kind of like, I guess, start off from scratch with the show, or did you kind of just like...
You mean for season 1 or for this season?
Well, just for season 1 and 2, I guess, combined, just in terms of like, kind of like an overall layout for the story.
Well, the creators of the show, Matt and Burke, worked for quite a long time with Kevin Burns and John Jashney, who had the original rights to Lost in Space for the show itself, and kind of for a long time worked together to figure out, we knew that this wasn't a fantastic concept for the show, but how do you bring it to today? How do you take the values of this great show from the 60s, which, tonally different than what we would be interested in today, right? But the core of the show, this idea of this family who gets lost in space, as it turns out, is still this great idea that I think inspires audiences today. When I was talking to my kids when the show first came across, and Matt and Burke gave me the script, hey, can this be a TV show? I was talking around the dinner table with my daughters, who are 13 and 15, and the look on their face, because they didn't know about the original show. To them, this is a brand new idea, and the notion of being with your family, lost in space and in jeopardy and danger and being chased by things, you could just see them getting more and more excited about it, and they're like, "Dad, you have to do this show. You have to do this show. What would happen to us if we were in space? Who would do what?" And they were convinced that my wife would make us survive, but that I wouldn't be super useful.
Gotcha. You two, actually, season 1, you guys had a connection with the robot, so to speak, and then season 2, it feels like y'all kind of separated off from your little storyline. So how was that with you guys kind of having that interaction and that little story plot line in season
1? Well, we love working with the robot. I love that kind of acting. It's fun to do. Are you a fan of The Muppet Show?
Oh, huge fan. That was my show as a kid.
Yeah, did you ever see Liza Minnelli sing to Kermit the Frog?
Yeah.
It's so moving. And just to bring this inanimate, this robot to life in this very real way. Mm-hmm. We both love doing it. And in season 2, yeah, you're right. It kind of, other things are introduced within the stories, but the robot is still a very strong presence, even though we don't get to act with him that much. Hopefully,
there's a great history between the characters of Will Robinson and Dr. Smith from the original series, and to see these two bring that relationship back into new and interesting and unique ways that I think even are beyond what we dream of on the page. Seeing these two bring those two iconic characters into today is pretty fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, something that that I talked with Bill Mooney about, the original Will Robinson, was his relationship with Dr. Smith and actually how much he learned from John Harris. And I kind of feel that today, where I'm learning so much from Parker every day. And we have
we're real close.
Yeah.
And close to Max and his family, and
Yeah.
It's adorable. But it's so funny when because their characters are at odds so often.
Yeah.
But like off camera they're like, two little peas in a pod.
Yeah. Just like my Aunt Parker.
So I mean, does that help in terms of like y'all interaction? Just I guess y'all acting.
Yeah. I mean, we have a scene in the season. I guess we shot maybe the first week of production in season 2.
Yeah.
And I can reach out to Max and say, let's do this, or come closer here, or come, we can work together as actors within the scene and also play the scene. So it's not locked in or kept, we built it together.
It's like build a camaraderie over time and stuff. So. Your character for Dr. Smith, like what I liked about her, even with season 2, is that there's so much shades of gray, because it'd be 1 minute where it's
have you seen season 2 yet?
Yes, I have. I've seen all of it. Oh. So there's so much shades of gray with her, where it's like 1 minute is like, okay, she's really about to do something, and then all of a sudden, she's helping them, but there was another plan. So it's kind of bizarre. So I mean, did you kind of like that about the character, where they didn't just make her outright like evil? It's like, there's like a lot of balance, so to speak, with her.
Yeah, I do. I like to play a lot of different, to have compassion for a villain and to get to see, what happened to Dr. Smith to make her this way. I mean, we don't know the full story, but
I mean, the backstory that they showed so far is like, okay, that's actually pretty interesting. But I mean, it's like you're still bad, but it's like
you don't know.
You don't know. It's like you still don't know.
Who her father is. You know, you don't know. There's so much that you don't know.
There's damage there,
Yeah,
clear
there's
damage.
There. And what was I going to say? Something about complicated. Oh, I mean, I think she's very winning, because she gets to kind of be a part of the Robinson family and have her dream come true of being able to start over with this family. And
but I just like how your character throws it in their face every time. It's like, well, I saved you guys, didn't I? It's just like, it's just funny.
I'm part of you guys. I'm so close to being a Robinson, and it's just really fun to see the kind of the outsider want to be, on the inside, but then she can't fully be trusted. And
we always refer to her as our Loki.
Yeah, it really does have that way. It's like there's always an underlining plan. Like, what is your MO? I don't you helped us, but what exactly is your aim?
Yeah.
I think that's what's so great about season 2 is I feel like in season 1 there was so much of it was based on the mystery of Dr. Smith.
Yeah.
And then once we turn that card and everybody knows what she's up to, it just allowed the character to have so many more different shades and variations in season 2 to watch her sort of go from foe to ally to foe to friend to it's just the character just got to evolve so much more.
As a Robinson in the show, there's in season 1, I noticed that there was always Will always had some sort of compassion for Dr. Smith, even after he found out how bad she was, and even though we do go on our separate journeys. And we all encounter new things in season 2. I feel like the Robinson family, there's always at least one person who is not necessarily being tricked by Dr. Smith, but has some sort of compassion for Dr. Smith in their heart.
Yeah. Because
she is such a damaged person.
Well, what I like about season 2 is you really feel that as in your family, they get the robot in a certain way, but in just the little scene that we have in this season, you get the sense that she knows how important the robot is, and that maybe she has information that would benefit him and the Robinsons, that she,
Yeah.
she's not showing her cards.
This is actually really exciting for us because you're the first person that we've talked to who's seen season 2, like, that isn't part of us.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Like-
see, now that works and stuff. Because I was like, all right, I'm hoping I'm not the only one that saw it. And it's like, okay, I guess I am the only one.
Well, no, just that. Well, at least for me.
Yeah.
Maybe you guys have talked to people who've
No.
seen it.
No.
But like I know it's out to people to
Yeah.
look at now. But for us, I think this is the first time that I'm talking to someone who's actually seen it. So that's kind of exciting for us.
Oh yeah, no,
Yes.
trust me. It was like when they gave it to us, it was like, okay, well, you can't put anything out till like that week it drops and stuff. I was like, all right. I just was watching it the whole week, and I was like, this is actually really good.
Oh.
I think all three of us, like me and two of my friends, we were like all watching, like, this is actually really good.
Oh.
Like the whole way.
Oh.
We
Because I saw
it at
season
the,
1 and then
at the Air and Space Museum last
Yeah.
night,
Mhm.
and that big screen.
yeah, that screen was like,
I mean, this is like cinema. This delivers the with the special effects
Mhm.
and the storytelling. It feels like home cinema for the family,
Yeah.
right?
yeah. I mean, it's.
And with people, do you have a big screen and all that? And you have big sounds
I
and.
think I got like a 50-inch tops, but I mean I've been in there before. I saw Ford versus Ferrari in that
Oh,
same
okay.
theater, and it's really great
Yeah,
watching it and
yeah,
stuff. But I mean,
yeah.
just seeing that show, it's a 180 watching it on your computer
Yeah.
Yeah.
screen, and you watch it there, and it's like everything just kind of comes out in.
It's epic.
I wonder what it's like for people who because so many people watch Netflix on their phones. Like I wonder whether like.
Probably do. I mean, people watch Disney Plus and all those stuff on the phone, like on the way to work and stuff. So, but
Yeah.
I mean, I guess for you guys, like, is it kind of astonishing seeing something like this? Because this is something I would see, you would think would be in theaters to some degree. So is it kind of like shocking to kind of see something this grandiose, just like, oh, we're doing like a 10-episode series?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
when we were, I remember coming into filming for season 1, something that me and the director of photography always talked about was, yes, this may be 10 hours worth of TV, but let's shoot it like it's 10 hours worth of movie.
Yeah.
So we can really film it big, and we do all these big wide shots.
Yeah.
But something that's always interesting is coming in after and seeing all the visual effects put in there.
Yeah.
Because so much of the stuff that we film isn't there. It's us talking to like a tennis ball on a stick that they're waving around. So it's always fun to see.
And
that stuff.
we wrap in February, and then that's like when the real work starts. And so like
Yeah.
we wrap, they all go back to their lives, and I go into the editing room and into the VFX place. And so like literally we just finished the show maybe a couple weeks before you saw it. Like
Wow.
dropped the very last VFX shot in. And so it's crazy to think that we started writing this in 2016, and so it's been like almost 4 years, and so far the only people have seen 10 episodes of a show that's been part of our lives for 4 years.
Wow.
So it's exciting for us to see these other 10 episodes come out just to show the world what we've been working on. But yeah, TV now is becoming more and more like features. It is, as Netflix is getting bigger, and the opportunities for good storytelling, both in the craft of the actual words, but also in the scope and size of the show.
Yeah, like The Crown, or like, I think I love the original Lost in Space. I thought
Yeah.
it was so cool, and
Yeah, it was
planets,
just-
and
There's
how
a chapter
cool
in
it
your book
was.
all about Lost in Space, right?
Yeah, well, it's a running theme.
Yeah. Lost in Space has been in her life since she was a kid.
Since I was a little, yeah. So, I love this idea that, of just a family being on their own planet. Every family's on their own planet to a certain extent. We
Yeah.
had this robot that came on the show that at the beginning of television that this young boy had a relationship with. I
Yeah.
think that was one of the aspects of what made this show so interesting, was like TV itself and the screen itself and what it did to the imagination.
Because you had to
of people
capture that, and you
watching.
only had like 3 channels back then, so it's like
Yeah.
you had to like watch it and kind of like be engaged in it.
Yeah, but the robot here too has
Yeah.
this screen, has this intelligence. We don't really know what it is, and so that double layer into this world, I think, is really effective. I think that's why a lot of people like it so much.
Yeah,
The
'cause-
original show premiered like just a little bit before the actual moon landing happened. So the idea of actually having somebody on space, in space, became a reality soon after the show aired.
Yeah.
I believe that's correct in the dates, right?
Yeah, I remember talking with Kevin Burns, who's our who's one of our executive producers, and Billy Mooney, the original Robinson, and he said that when we were filming Lost in Space, we didn't have pictures of what the world looked like from orbit.
Yeah.
So they came up with this kind of mock model that they showed in one of the shots, which was completely wrong. So
yes.
Yeah.
But now we have real things, and what's cool is that, at least for us, so now we are in a world where there have been massive advances in space travel, where now we feel like we're the version of the show that is launching when, in a year we might be making contact, people landing on Mars and trying to live there. Like, we are sort of repeating the same, forefront that the original show had with space travel. So it's pretty
Like one of the things, 'cause I watched all of season 2.
Huh?
Yeah, I saw all of season 2.
You've seen more than he has.
Oh, I've seen more than you have. Wow,
Yeah?
shocking.
So, no, keep going.
So you're not the only one before them. Now, they're like the
I wrote
visuals.
season 2, so I know.
I don't know if it's on purpose for you guys, or like the visuals of it. It reminded me a lot of like Mass Effect a little bit, just in terms of like the planets and just how all the characters are written a little bit. I don't know if that was on purpose for you
It's
guys.
not, I gotta tell you something. I hear when I've heard from people that it bears a similarity to Mass Effect.
Yeah.
I don't know the game.
Okay, yeah, the
And
game.
so I'm gonna assume that's good because people like Mass Effect.
Oh yeah, it's good.
Okay,
like
good.
the visuals of the planets and just the vehicles and it's a video game.
It's like super popular.
Oh yeah, it's really good. It's like the visuals and just the way the characters are. It kind of this show kind of reminds me of it. So when you guys were writing the show, clearly you took a little bit from the original show, but it felt as also you got kind of like, all right, we're just going to kind of remix everything about the show top to bottom. So was there any sort of like hesitations on like maybe some fans might not like this version, or was it just like, no, we're just going to do this?
Oh yeah, we were super stressed out. We didn't know if the production design was going to go over. I think there was a fear that a lot of people were going to expect it be kitschy on purpose, because here's the thing, the first show's not kitschy in the context of when it was made.
Yeah.
Irwin Allen is like a great action cinema director. He did Poseidon Adventure. He made what is considered state-of-the-art effects that blew people away in America. Like it was so expensive it went over budget, and then now 30 years later people watch it and they're like, oh, it doesn't look realistic. But
it's still great.
It's still great.
Yeah.
So with us, as we were trying, we kept saying to ourselves, we want to do the show that, in principle, Irwin Allen like intended.
Yeah.
Like if he got to the level of Towering Inferno, even as effects, and had that kind of money. And so ours always wanted to be very sort of grounded, kind of like a mixture of like The Martian and 2001 for season 1.
Yeah.
And then in season 2, which you've now seen, we like let a lot of Star Wars in. We felt like right?
a lot of sci-fi.
A lot of big. We
yeah.
figured like it was time to grow the world and like give people that sort of big epic sort of Star Wars feeling.
Yeah, because it kind of reminds me of a lot of the shows I remember watching in the 90s, like, Babylon 5, that kind of like...
Yes, except ours is the really expensive version.
Yeah, very, because, I mean, to be honest, stuff it looks like something that should be in the movie theater, not on like
That's
TV,
what we like to
big
hear.
time and stuff, so...
Thank
I know.
Especially see that the Smithsonian, like that screen, it's like
We need
crazy.
to make a video telling like a PSA,
Yeah.
begging people to watch it on big TVs. And if you have to break into like a home,
And not on their phone.
If you don't have a TV, you need to break into the home or go to Costco and just like sit there.
You guys are on social media. I think this can
No,
be
no,
like
I'm
a
definitely
vision.
gonna-
Yeah,
Christmas
okay.
time's
I'm
around the corner,
definitely
get a big
Christmas
TV.
time's around the corner.
I'm gonna tell
After
people to
big
do that
TV.
because it's such a, for everyone who worked on it, it would be like, please don't watch it while you're on the toilet.
And from a technical standpoint,
No, I'm saying.
Zach was in post and like spearheaded post, and Zach as an incredible knowledge. If you want to have like a side conversation about like the technical aspects of color timing, the way in which they design it, even to like go with particular 4K ultra, like all that is, you should just go down the road and talk to him about that, because he'll like talk your ear off. Like he's gone to like symposiums for like Samsung and Sony. I don't know if you got like a free TV. He's like a spokesperson for like super high-end, high definition like television.
So ask Zach for a TV for Christmas.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just send everyone to Zach.
No, but it's because he
Send
like,
everyone
he
to
like
Zach.
worked for them.
No.
That's cool.
So they have your character. It felt like there was a good, delicate balance between like he had like comedic moments, but like he still had the serious moments and stuff. So did you kind of like that balance for the character?
Oh, absolutely. I think that's something that we talked about for that specific episode. What was it, 6? Where, you know, this guy just uses comedy as a defense mechanism, and after spending 7 months with his family, and there's an innate goodness in him anyway, where he's like, damn, I shouldn't have gotten involved, but okay, now I'm here, I'm gonna I gotta save someone, or and I like what they developed in the season.
I'm a big fan of the Penny.
I'm a big fan of that too. It's a great relationship, and you know, she saves him, he saves her, and it kind of forces him to realize you're part of this family, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, because it felt like as though he was kind of keeping his arm distance, like, I don't know if I'm
Yeah,
gonna be here.
yeah,
And it's like,
because you know, solo traveler, survivor. It's like, okay, I'm stuck with you, but if I have to leave you, it wouldn't be a problem. But after 7 months, and I think what the biggest, at least for me while I was playing, the biggest twist for the character for me is when she saves him.
Mhm.
For me, that was a big moment. When I read the script, I saw it as, That's why when he goes and takes care of her, he's really invested in it emotionally. It's not just like, oh damn, I gotta save someone. No, it's now Penny Robinson, and it's somebody who he cares for.
Yeah, because I mean, Penny Robinson, I guess in the second season, what I liked is you and Dr. Smith's like camaraderie. Because now maybe I'm reading too much into it, but it felt as though there was like a sort of like she's trying to get you on her side a little bit, like to be like she wants you to be like her.
Yeah.
So I mean, how was you and how was y'all camaraderie just trying to film those scenes and stuff? Because that was actually very tense moments.
It was so much fun, and it was so much fun also to play that as the root relationship and that tension grow, and then have all of the relationships around it grow, because as she gets closer to Dr. Smith, there's more tension that rises in between her and Maureen, and in between everybody else who's been saying, don't do this, don't follow her. And I love it, and I think that playing the kind of almost seduction to the dark side is the most fun.
It's very Iago-esque.
Yeah.
It's very Iago turning Othello against Desdemona, you know, and Smith is doing this to Penny, like very like, your mom didn't.
Yeah,
she
it
didn't
gets
read
you
the
in
thing, and
in
it's
the
like,
personal,
deep.
She knows where to cut deep.
It's great.
And one of the big things that we wanted to have happen with that relationship is that Smith starts to find that she's never really had a family that she loved, and she starts to doesn't want to, but she starts to love the Robinsons in her own way. Mm-hmm. And so every time she gets closer to reaching out to manipulate, in particular Penny, or later on in the season other characters, actually she has a run with John.
He saw it.
Yeah, she no, I know, I'm saying it for the interview.
You're supposed to.
Oh no, I'm keeping it.
Yeah, he's keeping it secret.
Yeah,
when we're doing a season 2 conversation, it's like after.
Yeah.
So you've got that thing, and you see that she can't help but start to be connected and say, well, what if I could be good? What can I be? Can I be loved for being good? Can I actually learn something? Can I start to use what I am to protect them?
And it's rewiring too, her whole system, right?
Yeah.
And it's sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I was just going to say it's very interesting. One of the most interesting moments of the season was when she actually does try to reach Maureen and doesn't make it, and everybody else assumes that it's because she was lying. But there's that one moment of, no, I did try.
She's telling the truth.
Which is so important in understanding who she is.
Yeah, like a boy who cried wolf moment for a person who's been lying their whole life. It's really hard to go to the next place and start to try to be good because you got all that baggage.
Yeah, I mean, when you guys, drafted the show and stuff, who made the decision to kind of all right, we're going to do something different with the robot and make him alien-esque instead of just, he's just a regular robot and that's it?
That would be me and Matt.
Okay. Because that's an interesting twist. I like it, though.
When we kind of first came in contact with the property and the executive producers, a guy named Kevin Burns and John Jashney, and a company called Legendary, and we kind of went in and did a few initial meetings. That pitch just kind of happened, like right away. It was one of those things where, obviously, you can see what we were being influenced by. You know, like a little bit Terminator 2, a little bit How to Train Your Dragon, E.T., The Iron Giant. There's this idea of like this stranger friend who actually has like a violent side, which was, and like the Black Stallion, that like Matt and I have been wanting to tell that story, I think for a really long time. I think I've been wanting to tell it since I was a little kid.
No,
I really wanted to like channel that, and then Lost in Space showed up, and it just was like, it was there. That was it. That was like the part, I think even speaking for myself personally, that I'm most connected to.
Was there any pushback on it, or was it just like...
No, they were like, oh my god, this is a
You kind
nice
of hug like
twist.
a robot. So.
I do look like a robot. I wonder if I was identifying more with the robot or Will. No, there was no pushback. I mean, I think that was the kind of twist that made everybody excited. Because it's the same, when you think about it, the original show, the robot has a personality, and Will is really close to it. Mm-hmm. And Dr. Smith wants the robot for her own ends. We just sort of created a reason for that, like an engine, a dramatic twist that like tapped back into what Lost in Space was. Mm-hmm. So it's the best kind of, in a sense, I think it's the best kind of change to an original story, where you don't change the idea of it, you just give like maybe a new kind of dramatic momentum to those concepts.
You know what I always saw about the robot was, you know how when you have a connection to an animal, or even to an inanimate object, like I have a stuffed animal that I've had since I was 11 that sleeps in my bed. And there's something about the innocence of that object that you get attached to, because it's a part of you that you want to keep alive. Because unfortunately, when you go out into the world, you put on certain layers, you change the tone of your voice, you got to do your hair, and there's something about a robot, a dog, that they look at, or you recognize just innocence, even though you know that thing is a robot, it's not having feelings, but it's a mirror of what you are looking for.
That's a really good point. That's exactly the point, that one of the reasons why the face happened, which took a long time to come up with that idea. We wanted something that mirrored back the emotions of the audience. Yeah. Like rather than having a face where you would see the expressions be sad or angry, right? Or even a face that didn't move like C-3PO, which is a great face, you know. But it was like, what happens if we can have a face where you're always reading into it your own feelings? That's exactly what the goal was. And actually, when you watch the show, it even happens to me. I'll see like a shot of the robot, like you'll say something and the robot will look down, and it's like, oh, clearly it really loves Penny. Yeah. Or it's
You're putting a different emotion, right? You're putting your own...
little Penny robot beat in episode, what is it, like 5 or 6 of the first season, where you're like in the hallway and you look up at him and he looks up down at you. It seems like he's like scared for the Robinsons. Meanwhile, it's just his face.
Yeah.
Yeah. You remember that?
But I remember that moment.
Every person can have their own... it's a mirror to
your soul.
It's amazing. Yeah, you're not giving it one specific, like we all need to know that he's scared. And then it's almost create your own adventure.
It is.
For the robot.
Cool.
Yeah.
The last one before I go, whose idea was it to give you the chicken as like the companion?
Oh, it was their idea. I mean, Debbie, the original Debbie is the chimp. And it belongs to her in the original show.
I know, which is so I don't know.
We robbed you the
who
chicken.
I have to talk to.
I was talking
about the fact that Penny doesn't have a robot. No, not a robot, a monkey in this.
That's right.
Show.
Yeah.
So
we can maybe do it, but I gotta say, there was a gag of the chicken and Don for basically one scene, but like he like manifested it. He like made it be something, and then it was like
I made sure that chicken was.
Once we saw dailies, we're like, so I think this is like a thing. This is like a breakout.
It was like one time.
So we're like, it would be like we get notes. It's like you gotta write it. This episode is going okay, but you need to write more with Don and the chicken. It's like okay, because of just the way you were. You also, I mean, I want to say. It's hard for a writer to ever admit this, but maybe 75% of the Debbie Don dialogue, he just like generates it. He just says Debbie, you do. You just like make up Debbie Don lines.
Well, it's easy. There's a chicken.
I don't know how it goes. I'm like, somebody's like, did you write that? I'm like, no, you just. This is their arc. He's like manifesting.
Their arc.
This is their arc. Don and Debbie have like an arc.
It's like side story, Don and the chicken.
It's such a great character, but it also.
What does it represent for you?
To me,
joking aside, what is it for you in the show?
To me, it represents what I was just talking about. Like, Debbie is my robot, and Debbie is my, at least in the first season, family, and it's my safety blanket. It's my pillow.
That's great.
And that's how I saw her as it developed, right? Because it starts with him going, "We're not going to take a freaking chicken."
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, it was. I'm alone in this, but she can talk. She's not going to talk
it's
back.
It's like a great performance. Not the chicken. Well, the chicken's
Yeah.
great.
No, the chicken's phenomenal. The chicken is so method. Oh my god.
This is cool.
But it
I had never
represents
heard of
the animal. It represents kind of the way I saw it is the relationship that I have with my dog, where 3 years ago when I was in the lowest, darkest moment of my life and I didn't want to be around any human being, he gave me a reason to get up, he gave me a reason to go out, and he gave me that he was a sponge for anything that I wanted to emote. And he's just listen, no judgment, no comment, no unwanted advice. And that's kind of how I saw Debbie. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess
Appreciate you guys taking the time to talk.
Thank you.
I've seen all season 2, just putting that there, full disclosure. So one of the things that I liked about the whole series, both seasons, is that y'all guys' progression with your marriage. Like, it went from, like, clearly, he's been separated from the family prior to the series, and that kind of, like, slowly getting back into the swing of things. So was there ever, I guess, also to you two, was there ever a thing during the writing process, like, all right, season 2, we're going to break the family apart again, or was it like, no, we're going to keep this progression going of them being this tight-knit family still?
Yeah, well, I mean, season 1 really was the story of John Robinson, becoming welcomed back into the family.
Yeah.
That was the story. That was the family story of season 1. So season 2, if we'd broken them up again, I think people would have been, irritated with us. Like, really?
I mean, was the temptation there, or did anybody kick that idea, or was it like, no, we're just...
Well, it's funny because there were certain scenes you couldn't really write season 1. Like, John Robinson couldn't really critique Maureen very much because he was already on thin ice, as it was. I don't think that would have gone down very well. So he had to be on his best behavior for most of season 1.
Yeah.
But, so, we always want to find new stories to tell. So season 2, it was what happens if they have a strong relationship that's with two equals, and how do we test that, and how is John more of an equal participant because now he's able to critique Maureen, which who does plenty of things that should be critiqued.
Yes, their attachment is secure, so then they're kind of like allowed to have a real relationship.
Exactly. Just fun, and then to see the Robinson parents be in love was really nice because you got a hint of that season 2 when they came back together again. Yeah. But to actually see sort of like a working marriage was nice to see. I think. It did a great job.
And did you like the aspect of because one of the things I liked about season 2 in particular was like you're coming up with all these plans, like, okay, how do we escape out of this? Like you just instantly like, okay, boom. It's because, like, in particular, I think when y'all had that conversation, you instantly was like, oh, this is how we do it because of y'all conversation. Was that kind of like something that you actually enjoyed a little bit?
I mean, I love playing Maureen because this season was really fun to play because she really comes up against, this is a woman who thinks she can solve any problem with her mind. Yeah. And she hits the limit of that, really. And part of what then is great in the playing of her is it gets a little bit more honest, I think, about, yes, this is a woman who cares more than anything about her family and will do anything to save them and make their life better. She also is a woman who has had, who feels she has a destiny and has felt that it is her destiny to go into space, that she always, from the time she was a little girl, felt that that's where she would end up and where she wanted to be. And so there is a part of her that is self-seeking in terms of bringing everyone out into this environment. And so, that's great stuff to get to play because she puts her family in danger over and over and over again. And it's sort of set up at the beginning of the season between John and Maureen.
because she wants to go again. Like it's not perfect where they are, but they're safe, and that's not enough for her. And he challenges her on that, and they live into it, and it's pretty bad. Yeah.
So your character has, like, at one point, it's not really a spoiler, but like you have a interaction with Dr. Smith, and y'all kind of have like a meeting of the minds, so to speak. So what was that like?
I really enjoyed it actually, because I hadn't done anything with Parker at all, and or with their character, and I love, you know, the writers obviously just gone, wouldn't it be fun to put these totally diametric characters together and see what happens.
That was kind of exactly what happened.
Right.
Yeah, we haven't seen this before.
What is going to happen with these two people?
Because he just sees right through her.
Yeah, and and I love the fact that we just have this, and she doesn't quite know how to cope with him, and he's sort of, you know, they kind of feeling around, and the kind of what the spin-off of what happens with that, they kind of play with that. It's a really fun episode. It's fun for me to do. I hope it was fun for Parker, but it was really fun.
Because I did enjoy in season 1 you and Don when y'all like stuck out in space.
Yes.
Like, what was that like? I mean, because you guys were in the suits.
It was
and clearly it's green screen and stuff.
I had Ignacio in my ear because like we were attacked. We were on piano wires hanging over this set, right? And then we were in our suits with the head. I mean, there was no way you could turn the radio off. And I just had him, and he talks
non-stop
for Argentina or wherever. He basically talks non-stop. And it was like, I'm going to go mad if I can't. Can somebody please turn this off?
I felt so bad for you guys. It was so painful.
Plus my groin, there was something going on in snagging, and I was in some harness.
I think your entire weight was actually supported.
My entire body weight was like, so
Matt finally towards the end of this season put a spacesuit on. Because we've been complaining about it for 2 years. We're just like, it's so hard.
It was hard for him to get into it. It was even harder for people to get him out of it. Because he just wanted to stay in there.
He was like beaming.
Well, you feel like a superhero until you put the pack on with the helmet. And then it's just pain.
It's like
it's just shooting pain.
But I love that scene because just y'all camaraderie and y'all interaction.
They're very funny together. He's very funny.
Yeah, you had a moment with Dr. Smith too in season 1, and a little bit in season 2 as well. So what was that like with Parker?
She's my nemesis. It was great. I love Parker. I've known her for 25 years. So I mean, we kind of came up doing indie film together, and I met her way back then. And she's a brilliant comedian. I mean, she really is, and she also has a lot of sort of depth. So I love doing scenes with her. She always finds something interesting to do.
Yeah.
Always.
You just feel the tension when y'all talking, especially like you have that look
Well,
in your face.
these women, I mean, I think one of the things that these writers explored this year was just how these two women, in some ways are kind of two different sides of the same coin, and Maureen would do, what's the thing, there's some line of like, the difference between us is, I only love myself.
Oh yeah, I should know what that line is.
I should too.
It's a pretty good one.
It is a good one. And that's sort of.
I only love myself. What is it? I don't know.
We'll think of it after you.
Yes.
Like now I don't.
Yeah. But and Smith is kind of the one that calls Maureen on that thing we were talking about earlier of like, you want to go, like I'll be the bad guy, so that you get what you want, and you don't have to be the bad guy. I'll do it, and it just is the only thing that kind of really shuts Maureen up. It's like
Maureen's not used to being outplayed.
No.
It's like
and gotten like I don't really care how smart you are. I can see this other stuff too.
Yeah, was there anything in the writing process that you got pushed back on during the whole making the series?
Not really, actually. Even because, frankly, we keep writing crazy things, and we've got wonderful production people who take that as an awesome challenge. Wow. They're like, okay, you want to turn the Jupiter into a sailing ship? Let's figure it out. That sounds great. Wow. So there are a lot of people who love the show and want to, say what crazy thing can we do next and figure out how to do it. We've got an incredible crew and VFX team that somehow everything we throw at them, they do an amazing job.
Yeah. I mean, obviously you're doing something that's based off an old series, so there is that nervousness, oh man, I hope we don't mess this up. So, I mean, I guess for all three of you guys, for seeing how the final product is and stuff, I mean, what was you guys' kind of reaction seeing it? Because I mean, y'all on the green screen, so actually visually seeing it, I mean, what was that like?
It's wild. I mean, just to go back, one of the things I feel that this season really accomplishes is that it is its own thing now, and we know what it is now, and I feel like the show has really found its knows what it is, and I felt like when we came back to make the second season, that was sort of true across the board, from the look of it, and I really, when we saw it last night, it works on that level, it sort of all come together.
I'm used to doing work, and it's not belittling a lot of the stuff that I've done, but I mean, you imagine it when you're doing it, and then you watch it, and it doesn't live up to your imagination. You just go, oh, that's it. Yeah. Whereas, and I sincerely mean this, you do this, and you kind of have this imagined idea of what you're doing, or what it's going to look like, and then you watch it, and you go, oh my God, this is far beyond what I... I watched the first episode for the first time last night, and there were some shots where I just went, that's extraordinary. I mean, when it's floating on the, the thing is floating on the ocean, you see the waves, and you see just the scope of it, the scale of it, and none of it seems, what's great, what I love about this is a lot of CGI in movies nowadays. A lot of it can be really gratuitous, and you just go, I'm bored of this now.
Too busy.
I'm saturated by these images. Whereas this seems to somehow, it's so tastefully done, probably for budgetary reasons. You just go, there's enough of it to give it the scale, but there's not so much.
It all serves the story.
Just
that's what I felt last night watching. It was like, all of it serves the telling of the story. Yeah. And also I think the thing that is quite extraordinary about our show is that, I mean, we have the visual effects are spectacular, but so is just the cinematography. It's not all shot on green screen. In fact, very little of it is shot on green screen. We shot in Iceland on location. We shot, on the black sand beach. They augment a lot of the visual effects.
The lighting.
There's a lot of sort of augmenting of what is actually shot on location, and because of that, it's not. We don't have to do it all in our heads, There's
episode 2, you were at a waterfall.
Totally.
Like that.
Underneath.
So that's actually that actual
looks
waterfall.
So good. Is you and Mina were at the bottom of a waterfall, trying to act.
Yeah.
With
in Iceland, with
the
cameraman on his knees in the waterfall with us, and it's not what I expected when I took the job. I did think we would be in the studio the whole time, and it would be, and I had never done that, and I was sort of interested in what that kind of technically would be. And we do some of that, but, it's cinematic.
Yeah. I told the other guys, I was like, it kind of reminded me of Mass Effect a little bit, just in terms of the visuals, the video game and stuff, because it has that. Cause
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, the basis of the game is they go to different planets and stuff, and it's kind of the way the visual of the show set up. It looks just like that a bit, so it kind of appeals me off.
And that's what I love about. That's one of the things I really find exciting about this, is that they do travel to these different planets, and they all have different, different challenges and different atmospheres, and it kind of I found that really cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But
But also that there is this idea that there's some sort of there's some alien technology involved in it.
And all the planets got
What?
injured.
What do you want, man? Huh?
It just felt like each planet had like a
Reminds
danger
me of
attached to it.
aliens when they go and they see the shit. It's so cool.
Basically, it's everything we thought was cool when we were kids.
Yeah.
We now get a chance to like
jammed
put into our show.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Appreciate you guys taking the time.
Lovely to meet you.
Oh, thank you so much.